On Mardi Gras night, 1856, while the streets of Louisiana thundered with parades and laughter, a slave woman named Mary carried out an act so shocking it would never be forgotten. In the kitchen of her mistress's grand house, she prepared a cauldron of boiling oil and turned it into a weapon of vengeance. The setting is Louisiana, 1856, a land built on sugar and cotton, where the wealth of the few was carved out of the suffering of the many. Mardi Gras was the jewel of Louisiana's year, a carnival of masks, beads, and excess. The wealthy displayed their splendor while the enslaved worked to make it all possible. Mary lived in this world, not as a guest at the carnival, but as property. She was bound to serve, to labor, to obey. Her life revolved around the plantation kitchen, where she cooked for her mistress and her mistress's guests, yet ate little herself. Her back bent over flames, her skin marked by burns and scars, her ears filled with the sharp voice of command. Her mistress was a woman of refinement in public, praised for her manners and her elegance, but behind closed doors, she revealed herself as a tyrant. Every mistake Mary made was answered with a lash of the tongue or a blow of the hand. The kitchen became a place of torment, where Mary's skull was used against her, her pain dismissed as nothing. But Mary was not broken. Beneath the weight of humiliation, she carried something her mistress could not see. A smoldering fire of rage. And as Mardi Gras approached, while her mistress prepared for celebration, Mary prepared for something darker. The kitchen was Mary's prison and her battleground. Before sunrise, she stoked the fires, kneaded bread, chopped vegetables, stirred pots that steamed like cauldrons. The air was thick with smoke and heat, her hands raw and scarred. She knew every danger in that room. The knives, the flames, and most of all the oil. She had felt it sear her skin before. She knew its cruelty. She knew its power. Her mistress, meanwhile, demanded perfection. On Mardi Gras, guests would arrive, expecting lavish feasts. Mary worked endlessly, sweat stinging her eyes as her mistress hovered, criticizing, scolding, striking. Yet with every order, every insult, Mary's plan grew clearer. She would use the very tools of her bondage to strike back. She knew the oil must boil. She knew the cauldron would be full. And she knew her mistress would come to inspect, to belittle, perhaps even to strike her in front of others. The bubbling oil hissed like a whisper, promising her a chance. As Mardi Gras night arrived, the city outside erupted with music. Drums pounded. Trumpets blared. Laughter spilled into the air. But inside the kitchen, another rhythm ruled. The crackle of fire, the hiss of bubbling oil, the pounding of Mary's heart. Her mistress swept in, silks rustling, jewels glittering in the firelight. She was beautiful to her guests, terrifying to those she owned. She looked down at Mary with disdain, perhaps preparing to strike, perhaps to insult. But Mary was ready. With a motion born of strength and fury, Mary seized the cauldron. Years of toil had made her strong. She lifted it, the boiling oil sloshing dangerously, and with one final heave, she poured it over her mistress. The oil cascaded down, devouring silk, searing flesh, blistering skin. Her mistress screamed, a sound that tore through the house, though it was drowned by the parades outside. She collapsed, writhing, the jewels that once adorned her now burning against her body. Mary had done it. She had turned the kitchen, a place of suffering, into the stage of her revenge. She had cooked not a feast, but her mistress. What happened after cannot be fully known. The house would have erupted in chaos, the smell of burning flesh, the screams echoing through the halls. Servants and guests would have rushed in, horrified. Mary's act could not be hidden. In 1856 Louisiana, there was no mercy for enslaved people who fought back. Poisonings, rebellions, even whispers of resistance were punished with torture and death. For Mary, there was no chance of escape. The likely outcome was swift. She would have been seized, dragged away, and executed. Whether by hanging, by fire, or by the lash, the record is silent. But survival was impossible. And yet, her story lived on. Among masters, it became a warning whispered in fear. Do not trust the ones you enslave, for they may turn your own tools against you. Among the enslaved, it was remembered differently, as a tale of courage, of vengeance, of one woman who, for a single night, refused to be powerless. Mary's act was brutal. It was terrifying, but it was not madness. It was meaning. In a world that denied her justice, she made her own. Her vengeance was drawn from the very fire that once consumed her. Her resistance was etched in oil and flame. This was Mary's story. One woman, one night, one act of defiance carried out on Mardi Gras, 1856. Her mistress thought herself untouchable, safe within silks and jewels. But Mary proved otherwise. Her name, though shadowed, survives. Her fate may be forgotten, but her act endures. And Mary was not alone. For every story like hers, there are countless others erased by silence. Acts of resistance buried in the soil, whispered in kitchens, hidden in songs. Together they remind us of a haunting truth. The enslaved fought back. Always. If you want to hear more stories like Mary's hidden dark histories that deserve to be remembered, watch the playlist here. And don't forget to subscribe. These voices must not be forgotten.